Okay, this is the P1 paper from January 2023. It's question number 8. And if we look at it, we can see that it's mainly quadratic graphs. There's a little bit of work on the equation of a straight line for part A, and there's a little bit of inequalities in there as well. But let's have a look at it. Make a start. It shows us this quadratic that we've got here then, and says we've also got the straight line L, and it says L cuts at -12 and at 4. Everything's on the diagram there. For part A, can we find the equation of L, writing it in the form y equals mx plus c? Well, the key for L is that we know those 2 points there. We know the point 4, 0, and we know the point 0, -12. So if I'm going to find the equation of a straight line, I tend to do it quite slowly, and I say, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the gradient of L. So that's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So in this case, just be careful with your negatives. It's 0 minus -12 over 4 minus 0. That gives me a gradient of 3. I already know from the information on the graph that the intercepts is equal to 12. So if, is equal to -12. And if I know that y equals mx plus c, I can just say y equals 3x minus 12. So given the information there, that's a very straightforward part 1. Part B says we're now looking at the quadratic curve, and we say that the quadratic curve cuts at 4 here and also cuts at k there. And then they ask you to work out what k is. Well, there's a really complicated way of doing it, or there's a really simple way of doing it, and I'm going to use the simple way, which is we know if this is the minimum point here, 7 minus 18, then we know that this graph is symmetrical about this line. And so what that means is that those two lengths are going to be equal to each other. So if it's 3 units from 4 to 7, then it's going to be another 3 units from 7 to k. So if there's 3 units from 7 to k, then for part B, using symmetry, it's only worth 1 mark, so we don't really even need to say how we get it. K is equal to 10. Okay, so I can put that maybe on the diagram just in case I need it later. K is equal to 10 there as well. And then part C says, can we find the value of fx, the function of fx, and we're going to use the idea that we know the minimum point here. If we know the minimum point is 7 minus 18, then when I'm trying to work out fx, I know that can be written down as p x plus q squared plus r. Any quadratic can be written down like that as a, in effect, completing the square question there. And if we know that that minimum point is over here at 7 minus 18, well, if it's at 7 minus 18, then straight away I know that fx is equal to, I don't know what p is, but in order for it to have been 7, I must have had x minus 7 in there. And in order for the minimum value to be minus 18, I must have that value there as being minus 18. So we can get those 2 points straight away from the fact that we know the minimum points, and then we also know points on the line. We know the point 4, 0. So if we know the point 4, 0, we know that f4 is equal to 0. So we know that p lots of 4 minus 7 squared minus 18, not 10, minus, 18 is going to be equal to 0 there. Well, that's 9a minus 18 is equal to 0. So that gives me a equals 2. So that means I've got fx. Fx is going to be 2 lots of x minus 7 squared minus 18. So that's my fx. And then part D, just go back up and have a look at it. Excuse me, part D says, can we work out this region here? So yeah, absolutely. Let's just get rid of all my other stuff on here. If I'm looking at trying to find that region there, I know it's underneath the quadratic, less than the quadratic. I know it's going to be greater than the y-axis, which is x equals 0, and I know it's going to be above the straight line, greater than the straight line. So if I put all those things in together there'll be three separate ones. I'm going to say y is greater than the straight line. It was greater than the y-axis, but it was underneath the quadratic there. So those three things all together, all three of them, will be the last part of that question. Okay, hopefully that will make sense to you.